Hey, checking in. It's been a couple of days. Um, my name is Gary. I'm an alcoholic and a drug addict, recovering alcoholic and drug addict. Um, I've got, I don't know, 4.5 months or something like that. I think I had 4.5 months yesterday. I'm not sure, but, we all got today, right? So, I lost my son I don't know, it's been not even 2 weeks yet, to fentanyl, accidental fentanyl overdose, uh, in Long Beach, California. So be careful out there, guys. Um, it's it's in everything that if you're drinking and using, still, it's in all the toys that we like to play with when we're out there. They're putting it in pills and uh, Xanax, whatever, Coke, meth. It's in everything. Heroin. So, going through all this, walking through this, trying to do it with as much grace and dignity as humanly possible. And I've got God in my corner. I do it real imperfectly, though. And I'm never going to turn this camera on and be dishonest. I'm going to be as honest as I possibly can. So today was a hard day. My first full day at work. And that was okay. And I got some news. We've got. I'm going to try to get through this without putting anybody's name or anything like that in it. But addiction runs kind of, I wouldn't say rampant through my family, but addiction runs in my family, definitely. My son Brandon, the one that just passed away, he struggled with alcohol and drug addiction, and I struggle. I've struggled my whole life with it, and the best times of my life were the times I was sober. I had a stint where I had 7 years of sobriety. I got married, had a family, and relapsed after 7 years. And then I was out for a couple of years, and then I relapsed for a couple of years, and I got sober again in 2002, and stayed sober for 10 years. And I relapsed on medication. A doctor had given me some medication, and I think I took the entire bottle of 90 pills or something like that and it was a narcotic, and I took it in I think 3 days or something like that. And there goes, my sobriety went out the window, and I swore I was never going back to AA. I don't know why, but this shit is just absolute poison to a person like me. So, I'm dealing with life stuff right now. I'm not battling my addiction right now. I'm doing the things that I believe that I'm supposed to do. I'm going to meetings. I'm working the steps. I'm praying. I'm on my knees, and I'm helping other people. So, I think that's the program of Alcoholics Anonymous and Narcotics Anonymous in a nutshell. And everybody's got their way of getting sober. I mean, this is what works for me. And I would suggest it to anybody. It's the only way I know. It's the only thing that's ever worked for me. And when I got away from the program, it was because, I just told you the worst relapse was, after almost 10 years of sobriety. And I wasn't so far away from the program at that point. I just put a drug in my body, and it says if we're spiritually fit, we can deal with that. I guess I wasn't spiritually fit that day. So, and I don't have to analyze it. It is what it is. It's the past, and I'm not gonna. It says we will not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. And as soon as I got sober, I didn't regret that. Up until the point of getting sober, I regretted that. And I heard a woman share in a meeting last night. She had 8 years, and she was suffering from the same thing, like just getting back. It's like the pride keeps you out of the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. That pride of, oh, I lost my time or whatever. Look, I never lost that time. I still have that time under my belt, and these things, the longer I'm staying sober here, like these things are coming up for me. So I'm struggling today with resentment, and we've got addiction in the family, and somebody's suffering from addiction, and there's another family member enabling this person. Everybody else has said, you know what, go to rehab, then we'll talk to you, because you're fucking dangerous right now. You're not you. You're not the loving, kind, compassionate person we once knew. That person we don't even see anymore. And you're dangerous. You're bringing dangerous situations into the family, around people that shouldn't be exposed to that kind of stuff, like toddlers and young, 12-year-olds and older people, like 80-year-old grandparents and things like that. We don't want this shit around. So get well. We're there to help you in any way that you need help once you start making the right choices, which is get to rehab, get to a meeting, put 30 days together. I don't really give a shit how you do it, but stay the fuck away. Don't bring any of this shit around me till you have that time. If you want to get into a rehab, get in rehab. But so we set boundaries with this person, and then somebody in the family broke those boundaries today. And I fucking came unglued, man. Because we had this front as a family, and the alcoholic drug addict that's in the family, still actively using, manipulated their way into the situation, because my son just died. And he knows that, at any given moment, this person could be weak and have their guard down, and I'm going to capitalize on it, basically. So it's really hard stuff to go through. And me, like being, not the perfect picture of mental health most of the time, I need this program to even have a fucking normal life, right? Because I'll end up in handcuffs, or, I'll do something stupid, right? But me being who I am, I went from, pretty spiritually fit today to off the fucking Richter scale, pissed off. It's like there's nothing in the middle. I don't just get a little bit angry. I just went boom, and lost my cool. And then, I talk about living in the light, living in the dark. Well, that's the fucking darkness. And that's taking a walk in Gary's neighborhood, right? That's not Mr. Rogers' neighborhood, like I said before. This neighborhood involves violence and weapons and, all kinds of crazy darkness, man. So I have to take a step back. And I thought what was really cool, something that we read in the big book, and it was just kind of spinning around my brain. And I want to read it really quick, okay? Because when we get sober, this is the book that keeps me alive, okay? When we get sober and we start working like steps 1, 2, and 3, God is in the steps, and we have, we start praying to Him in the 3rd step prayer and things like that. So Um, and they go through, it's kind of saying, okay, let me just read it. We had to ask ourselves why we shouldn't apply to our human problems the same readiness to change our point of view, right? We were having trouble with personal relationships. Yep. We couldn't control our emotional natures. Yep. We're prey to misery and depression. Yep. We couldn't make a living. Yep. We had a feeling of uselessness. We were full of fear. We were unhappy. We couldn't seem to be of real help to other people. Now, when I'm in that fucking psycho state, right, or pissed off, or, in the darkness, any of those bedevilments, right, those are called the bedevilments, right, if you're familiar with the bedevilments in the big book of Alcoholics Anonymous on page 52, right? And it gives us the solution to those bedevilments. And the solution is God, right? And, if God worked on my alcohol problem, right, and my drug addiction problem, like he did, I got COVID, and he gave me the willingness to after 5 days of having COVID, to go, wow, fuck, I'm sober 5 days. I think I'm going to roll with this, man. Thank you, And I've been praying ever since. I've missed some days here and there. I'm not perfect, but I'm trying to do better. I'm trying to live a spiritual life, and I do it very imperfectly, right? If I did it perfectly, what the fuck would I need God for, right? So if God's gonna work on my alcohol problem, which was a fucking miracle, because I couldn't stop doing this, that, whatever, it comes in all different forms, right? If I couldn't stop that on my own power, and then finally I'm stopped for 4.5 months. So if that power works on my alcohol power, on my alcoholism, right? If it's powerful enough for that, I'm not. I've tried. It's saying, well, we can use it on our human problems now also, right? So, yeah, I was ready to fucking, like commit homicidal acts today, right? Not really, but I'm capable, when I get that mad. It's, anything's possible, right? But, so I took a step back, and I thought to myself, how do I do battle with this shit? Like my youngest son, he's he's on the phone with me going, well, yeah, Dad, I don't understand why you're so upset. And I go, because he doesn't fucking listen to me, right? And he goes, well, you can't control that situation. And I'm like, oh, yes, I can, right? I can't. and you can't control her. And I'm like, oh, yes, if I say this and this, I'll control her, right? And he's like, you can't. So he's not, thank God, right? He's not put together like me up here, right, in the mental health department. This kid has his life together, and he thinks reasonably, and I think unreasonably, right? Now I see exactly what he was saying, but at the time when he was telling me, you don't have any control over that, I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a little bit. What did I say to him? Son, all this flowery bullshit, that's great and everything, but I'm a little bit more old school than that, man. I do have some control over this, which is complete bullshit, right? And there again, I've got my 23-year-old son that is just, there's no words to describe how wonderful this kid is, how strong, stoic, goes to work, has a job, gets there on time. He's valuable to the company he works for. He has a relationship with a beautiful girl, and they maintain this relationship. There's not all this jealousy and possessiveness, all this shit that I would, put somebody through, all that crazy stuff when I was 23 years old. And I need AA to do my human problems, right, that I have once I get sober, right? I need, because I walk around with the bedevilments, I need AA to combat those things. And what a beautiful thing Alcoholics Anonymous is. What a beautiful program it is. The 12 steps were perfectly written. It's a perfect, beautiful way to live your life if you're anything like me, right? So, thank God I have this thing, this group of people that support me, that understand me. I am so grateful for this program and for the founders of this program. This program was basically put together by two drunks that were sober very small amount of time. I think one had 6 months of sobriety and one had like a week or two. And Bill Wilson was kind of like, from what I understand, he was kind of a fucking whack job like I am. And then Dr. Bob he was the steady Eddie. He kind of had, he had this alcoholism, right? He couldn't not drink, right? But he had he had his shit together, his head upstairs together a little bit more, I think, than Bill. Bill had some behavior and stuff like that, like mine. And that's cool because AA is for everybody. So those guys were kind of on the opposite spectrum. And then there's all this kind of shit in between. It's just a cool place, man. It's a cool place to be. Join this thing that we do. We do it together. And remember, if you don't believe or you're struggling to believe or you believe and you think that God forgot about you or whatever, I challenge you to take a 5-day God challenge, okay? To just get on your knees for 5 days. Ask God to reveal himself to you. Ask God to help. If you're struggling with addiction, ask him to help you get sober. Ask him to remove the compulsion to drink or use drugs. And ask him for the help to go to a meeting and raise your hand and say, hey, I'm having a problem with drugs and alcohol. It's a safe place to do that. Trust me. Trust me. I was in a meeting and I didn't really know anybody in the meeting last week, and I was sharing about my son and I was bawling. And I wasn't looking up because I want to be a tough guy all the time, and I was kind of embarrassed, right? Because I just didn't have any control over it. And I looked up and everybody else was crying too, because they felt my pain. What a safe place to be, So if you go into a business meeting and raise your hand and say, yeah, I'm a fucking drug addict and an alcoholic, or hey, I'm having problems with drugs, they'll say, get the fuck out of here, right? Talk behind your back and all that stuff. But if you do it in a room of AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, you're safe. You're safe. I have an old buddy of mine that used to say, it's like sliding into home. Safe. As soon as he hears that preamble for Alcoholics Anonymous that we say at the beginning of the meeting, sliding into home, I'm safe. Until the next time, thank you. Do the 5-day God challenge. Let me know how it works out for you. I swear it works.